To understand where we are in 2020, we have to rewind to 1998. 22 years ago, you may remember commercials like these. You could buy a loaf of name brand bread for just over $1.
You made a big mistake.
And watch new episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger and The Nanny. That year, $275 became the maximum weekly benefit amount for up to 26 weeks. Fast forward to 2011. Rick Scott is governor. Not only does work begin on the new unemployment website, he also signs off on a plan to slash payments from 26 to 12 weeks. The goal? To cut down costs for employers, bring more of them to the state, and create jobs.
I'm going to be the jobs governor.
While people did get back to work then, almost 10 years later, in the midst of a pandemic, jobs are hard to come by.
Our state is hospitality and tourism, and those businesses have been, destroyed with this.
Since March, almost 4 million people have applied for unemployment in Florida. If you're lucky enough to be eligible, people like Bonnie, Sam, Carlos, and Cynthia say the struggle doesn't end there. They've battled glitches.
They say that it's an internal error.
Endless hours on the phone and weeks or even months of waiting.
You can't have people waiting for months for money that they've actually worked all their life to have.
All for $275 a week at most.
What has it been like living off of $125 a week?
It's hard. It's hard. Nobody can actually live off $125.
I think it's irresponsible to, one, have a website like this in place, but also to not be able to give a good safety net for people when a crisis happens.
Back in April, Orlando Senator Randolph Bracy requested legislators hold a special session to address the issue, but they denied it. He'll push at least one bill in the next session for higher, longer-lasting benefits.
I would think it should be an average that most states have. I've put forth, I believe, 475 to 600 range.
Back to 98, the Department of Labor says based on inflation, what might have cost you $100 then costs $160 today. Since then, the state minimum wage has gone up more than $3, but benefit payments haven't followed the same path.
They could have and should have adjusted the maximum benefit amount so that as items became more expensive, as housing became more expensive, that amount went up.
Labor and employment lawyer Ryan Barrick says not raising the weekly benefit amount over the years has caused people to suffer.
The business interests dominate the Florida legislature, and as a result, they were able to keep this rate unofficially low.
And those business interests are fought for by the Chamber of Commerce, who told me changes to unemployment need to consider the impact to job creators going through an unprecedented downturn. I asked Governor Ron DeSantis if he plans on raising benefits. His office never got back to me. And the new executive director of the Department of Economic Opportunity and former legislator Dane Eagle told me it's not up to him. Do you not have an opinion?
All I can do is make sure I'm at the table providing the accurate data so that they have the right decision, but I'm going to leave that up to them.
Meanwhile, your struggle hasn't stopped.
I've been borrowing from people I can. I've been living off my savings. My savings is now gone, and I have to sell my house.
I don't think it's going to turn into everybody staying on unemployment forever and, trying to milk the system. I mean, we all want to go back to work. We're hardworking, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go back to work.
Many people are. And remember, a new max benefit is just that, a maximum. How much someone gets in unemployment would still be based on their regular earnings. As for lawmakers in our area, only one, Representative Spencer Roach, told me he supports an increase. One woman told me she knew something was wrong when after the state started distributing lost wages assistance, she didn't get hers. Now I have the internal documents that show the DEO wasn't totally forthcoming with how to get people their money. FEMA approved Florida for 4 weeks of $300 in lost wages assistance, covering the month of August. People collecting benefits had to meet certain requirements to qualify, and Darlene Felker says she met them all.
Those $300 should have been released.
She had her suspicions, thinking then she didn't get paid because one of the questions she had to answer she feels was misleading.
Are you still unemployed? That's it. Amen, the end. So I specifically called DEO. I was told to put no, because I am working. I'm just working 8 to 10 hours a week, 16 hours at the most.
I brought her situation to DEO back in September. They told me this is a non-issue. But 3 weeks later, I got a tip about something DEO was keeping quiet. These internal documents show an email dated October 5th where DEO told its call center employees a new form has been created for claimants calling in stating they answered incorrectly to the question regarding COVID-19. This form will be used internally. Please do not volunteer to complete this form for anyone calling regarding the lost wages assistance payments. That means people calling in have to specifically say they answered the question wrong to get help.
What would have happened had you not known that you answered the question wrong?
Like other people, they just think that they weren't due the money, and that's not true.
On top of that, the email said the form will only be available as long as they have enough funding left. After I questioned DEO about the existence of these instructions, they sent out a press release on October 9th saying people need to call if they think there are errors in their application, not once mentioning LWA.
It tripped all these people up that are not getting that money. It's crazy.
It took more than a dozen calls and several faxes to DEO, but Felker finally got the $1,200 owed to her just last week.
You just have to be persistent on calling and speaking to a supervisor and letting them know that you're aware of this form.
Today I asked the DEO why they kept this internal. They sent me that same press release statement that didn't mention LWA at all. However, they did say that LWA funding is still available. Patrick Hoffman of Fort Myers has almost given up on DEO. He's back to work now, but when he lost his job this summer, he only got 2 weeks of payments from the state.
They owe me between $10,000 and $11,000.
When he calls to get it fixed,
They say, oh, there's a computer glitch in the system, and then if you don't get paid within 2 or 3 weeks, to call us back. And that's what I've been doing.
week after week after week disqualified, and yet
They said they see no reason why I shouldn't get paid.
he says he feels cheated.
It's up to the state to pay us, and we're not getting paid to live. I'm lucky I had my savings account, or I'd be on the street.
What do you think when you hear stories like that?
When I hear cases like that, we delve into it and see what is exactly happening. And we readily admit that there are IT glitches that we continue to have to fix.
2 months into the job, former Cape Coral legislator Dane Eagle says leading the DEO has been a whirlwind.
Since I've started, we've been able to process over 600,000 claims to the tune of over $2.5 billion. I mean, that is real progress. There is progress being made.
But he recognizes some people still feel left behind. Eagle and I spoke when he first started, and he asked for your suggestions on how to make the system better.
Some people have said they want to see less logins and tasks.
He also took suggestions from lawmakers helping people navigate the system. I got a hold of their emails asking for help with things like backdating issues and mixed messages. But their biggest complaint? Not enough communication.
We've ramped up our legislative affairs department. We have a new director there and new staff there, so we've been able to assist them with the claimants that they've been trying to address.
Eagle says they've hired more than 200 people since he started, mostly in the reemployment assistance department to handle more complicated claims. The agency has also already spent $18 billion on operational costs and fixing the claim portal.
The system is by far from perfect. We've been able to improve it to make sure that it at least is operational and that we can get things done.
In the meantime, Hoffman is still waiting and says promises don't pay the bills.
You know, I did everything I was supposed to do. I just want my money.
Sara Girard, Wink News, now. For weeks, you've been asking me, where's my money? So I created a Facebook poll to see how many of you are missing payments. And out of almost 1,500 people in our area, more than 80% say they're missing 3 or more payments from the DEO. Depending on who you ask, that money means the difference between having a car, having a home, or putting food on the table. Eileen, April, Victor, and Mark don't know each other, but their stories are all too familiar.
On 3/22, I applied for my unemployment, and it sat, and it sat, and it sat.
In the last week, I've talked to 3 different people, and everyone has no idea what's going on.
I don't know how much longer I can hold out, without getting this money when I need it.
We're all in a different boat, it seems like, but we're all in the same ocean.
Each of them unemployed, each of them eligible for benefits, each of them missing thousands of dollars they need.
How many federal payments are you missing at this point?
I think 7 or 8.
Navigating the system when it's working is hard enough. When it's not working, feels like a sinking ship. The Department of Economic Opportunity admits 2 technology concerns may be why people haven't seen their $600 CARES Act benefits in more than 3 weeks.
I've yet to receive anything from the government past May 12th.
Mark Benfield is staying at a hotel in Naples where he used to work as a 24/7 handyman. He has until Saturday to find somewhere else to live.
It's very hard to find a job that pays enough to even give you a living wage to where you can have a place to stay.
Eileen Young in North Fort Myers and April Davies in Punta Gorda, both pet sitters, are running through their savings.
It was really, really tough those weeks.
If we don't get the money, where is the money going?
Victor Rivera, who takes care of his mom in Lehigh Acres, lived paycheck to paycheck working a warehouse job. Now, bills are piling up.
This has hurt me and my family. It has put us through tremendous undue hardship. I mean, we have no savings.
4 different people virtually lost in the same treacherous waters of Florida's unemployment system.
It seems like we're all forgotten.
In less than a month, I've now sent more than 10,000 of your names and concerns to the DEO and the governor at their invitation. This is it, almost a phone book worth. While the state's helped some of you, so many more of you are still waiting, and I'll keep pushing for the help you need. Judith Alves says at first the DEO told her that money died with her husband. Now she's finally finding peace. The pain of losing a partner is always hard to talk about.
He's always going to be in our hearts, but it's really hard to get through this.
Together for 17 years, Judith Alves and her husband Orlando's last moments together shared over FaceTime.
They really didn't see any chance for him to survive, that he would have no quality of life at all. So I had to make that decision. I know it was the right one, but it was a very hard one.
He died at the end of July from COVID-19 at just 59.
Everybody will always remember him for always smiling and whistling. He was a happy guy, very hard worker.
But when coronavirus hit in March, he lost his job at a Fort Myers Beach restaurant and applied for unemployment.
First week in June, it just totally stopped.
Judith says suddenly his benefits went on hold for 7 weeks, and they couldn't figure out why. Then he got sick.
I don't know if there's anything I can do about it or what can be done.
She's on disability, and those payments don't cover all she needs to survive.
If I don't have enough money to pay the rent and the bills, we're going to end up in the street.
But 2 days later, after I brought her situation to DEO, her hope shifted.
I was in shock, really. I mean, well, you don't think it's really going to happen.
One phone call and $3,100 later.
If it wasn't for you, I probably never would have gotten that money.
The feeling of stability in such unstable times is invaluable.
It gives me a little more peace. My husband knows from up above that, that I'm being taken care of.
Taken care of for now. And Judith is still figuring out her next steps without her husband by her side. She tells me right now these payments mean everything.